Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the AD is in the HD, the true crime is as scary as the ghost stories, and the hosts are as cunning as foxes. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em.
And I'm Meg.
Now on to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm waiting for little Miss Muffet.
Okay. Is my ceiling fan too noisy?
No, I can't hear it.
Cool. Awesome. I can hear it.
I mean, I can hear this one, but you can't.
That's true.
You know, I love that because I have this thing on here that removes it. It's called Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah. Now we're just waiting.
Always waiting.
Yeah. Holy crap, she's alive!
Like doing like the red blood cells, plasma, the normal
shit. Yeah.
Then yeah, you don't have to do a fasting for that because it's not going to affect it.
No.
The other stuff, it will.
I heard nothing you said, Emily. I don't think she realized she's muted. Nope. I love reading lips. I know.
Are you muted on your clicker?
No, I think she has to unhook it and then rehook it back in. Nope. No. Nine. Nient. Nonta. Nope. Just let me fix the shit.
Just a second, guys.
This one person's like, I'm gonna fuck your board up on Monopoly. And I'm like, not if I fuck up yours first. Excuse me, sir. No. I don't know what happened. Maybe exit the call and come back in. I can't hear you. I know you're freaking what, but... Who's that? Edna! Fix your hearing aid! Don't on my fucking mic. I don't know where your mic is.
Pardon me while I have a little tearjerker moment. I want to mute myself for a quick second.
Okay. You're allowed to be yourself. I wouldn't expect you to be anybody else.
Sorry, Facebook memories popped up with a photo of
Mimi?
No, of Mimi's dog, Buffy.
Aww.
It was one of the last pictures we have of her before we put her down because she was 20 and
No.
she was literally surviving out of spite.
I get that.
Like she had tried to die multiple times and it's pure spite at this point. And so it was one of the last photos we got of her, which also happened to be the April before Hurricane Michael. So
oh Jesus.
Yeah, so she's buried in the backyard because my grandmother wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was terrified when all the trees came up because, we buried her under a bunch of trees.
Right.
When the trees came up, they were going to expose her.
I mean, when the tree came up at my old house in California when we had a big earthquake, we didn't realize, like, I couldn't go into my apartment. This was like a Section 8 housing or whatever. It was low income. And we didn't realize that there was a body buried in the tree. And so we weren't able to go into our apartment complex the normal way. We had to go around and go through it that way. We found out it was just some homeless guy that had fallen asleep and gotten into the mud. I don't know. But, I mean, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. There's a dead body in here? And my friend's like, oh, yeah. Where have you been? And I was like, at my mom's house.
Oblivious under a rock.
Right. I was
But
fine.
yeah, no. So, I I thought for a minute, like for a little while, that the tree roots when they came up with the tree with the pine trees that it was going to unearth her body. Thankfully, it did not. Instead, it just kind of made the spot where I buried her because I
Mm-hmm.
had to dig the hole and then cover her back up.
Oh.
Because Mom was tasked with taking care of Mimi.
Well, yeah.
It just kind of did a it just kind of sunk it down further, so there's a dip there now. It's your coffee.
Excuse me, making me choke on my fucking coffee, bitch. She's typing. Poor connection. M's video
It's just
turning it off and on again. So,
anyways, I just sent you the photo of Buffy.
oh, on which platform?
Text message.
Okay, there it is. Oh, Fluffy. Fluffy looks like it's gonna tear my fucking face off.
No, that's Buffy.
Oh,
B-U-F-F.
Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. I don't know if they're teamed up with Gladys, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Probably. But yeah, no, like that dog
Survives
pure
spite.
and the love for my grandmother. Like they had to administer the drugs twice because she fought it because she did not want to leave my grandmother.
I mean, I get it.
They had to give her the second time. They had to give her a bigger dose, like for a dog that was like twice her size.
Aha. Okay, she texted a photo. Let's finish setting up your PC.
I mean, that might have something to do with it.
So Emily's having some technical issues. We're just gonna cut a good chunk of this out.
That's fine.
So no, I talked to Sarah, who's a friend of mine who I've known for quite a few years, and we haven't spoken in a few years. She finally reached out to me and talked to me about the episodes, and she's like, I really like the sound effects. I like that it's like different. And it was a point of contention for M because she's like, nobody else has this. And I was like, and is that a problem? Like, I'm really confused.
Like, whole point.
Right.
I almost did it again. I stopped myself this time, though.
Thank you for not scrolling out of the damn thing. Shit.
I almost did.
My friend, I'm actually, so that TV show Legion. Hello? Is your mic muted still? Unmute. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, you're going to have to get your iPad if you want to be on this today. I know it's downstairs. That means you have to get up off your butt and go downstairs and get it. Or ask your husband to go get it. Never mind.
He is asleep.
He is lacoma is what he is. Last night was D&D. I mean, you can just listen. You want to just listen and pantomime? Okay, we can do that today. Charades. Hooray. You're going to have to read her text because I'm going to have the window up. So I'm going to do it on that.
Sounds like a plan.
Yay! We're doing...
Yay!
I know. If you knew sign language, like, this is one of the main reasons why I started learning sign language. I'm going to cut his name out, but...
I can hear you a little bit.
So you hear me a little bit?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
But you can't hear me at all, can you?
I know, I can't hear you. I know, it's okay.
I only know a little bit of sign language, but we can pantomime.
You know a little bit of sign for the conversation. Okay, that's fine. Also, you did not sign conversation.
Oh my god, what did I sign?
That was not conversation. Oh, okay. All right. So do you want to hear what we're doing today, guys?
Yes.
We're talking about, since, the month of June, we're heading into the month of June, which is gay month. It's Pride Month. We're discussing some lethal lesbian nurses.
Oh boy.
Say that 20 times fast. Lethal lesbian nurses. Lethal lesbian. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you can't say it. You get to the second part and you're like, I can't do it. We're in Michigan.
Oh boy.
We're in Michigan today. We're going to be discussing Gwendolyn Graham, which I have lovingly called Gigi, and Kathy Wood, also known as CW, because we talk about them a lot. So instead of saying Gwendolyn or Wood, because there's a lot of wood in this episode, not the wood. So we're going to discuss Gigi real quick. Gigi was born August 6, 1963. She was a Leo, which means, yeah, she was attractive, energetic, self-assured, positive, proud, optimistic, and ambitious, which also makes her vain as fuck.
Can't have it all.
Right. CW, also known as Kathy Wood, was born March 7th, which is a Pisces. So Pisces and Leo, when they get together, they are not exactly a dynamic duo. They are very toxic to each other.
Well, I mean, they're a dynamic duo as in like dynamite.
Yes, pretty much like TNT. TNT. I'm dynamite. TNT. Okay. If husband was here, he'd be singing along. Pisces are sensitive, empathetic, and generous. They're pretty much doormats when it comes to Leos. So between the two of them, we have the instigator and the compliant one. They have had a total of 5 and 6 victims. So one of them killed one. Are you looking it up on your end? Okay. So look at the pictures though. Rachel, I'm gonna send you a photo of the lethal lovers.
Okay.
Just so you can see. Side note. Yes, it's going to be very, very warm today. They weren't exactly the prettiest of people. There you go, bestie. Just sent you a photo. So, they killed in between January to April of 1987, but let's go back a little bit to when they first met. So, they met in Kent County in Michigan. They were known as the Lethal Lovers or the Alpine Manor Serial Killers. They met at the Alpine Manor nursing home in Walker, Michigan, but they became lovers after about a year of them meeting. They killed 6 elderly females in a home that they worked at, and an ill factor, because I remember you guys like ill factors. They had sex while bathing the victims' bodies for burial.
Ew.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's just the gross looks on your faces. I had that when I read it, and I know why. Okay, we're gonna get to the why. Let's go back. So Gigi moved to Michigan from Texas in 1986 and quickly got a job working for Alpine Manor as a nurse's aide. So she had already gone to school for LPN. Okay. There she met CW. CW was married to Ken Wood. Yeah, that's right. His name is Ken Wood. We're going to call him KW. So he was the ultimate demise to the Dynamite duo. He turned them into the police. We'll get to that in a minute.
Good for him.
I know. Good for Ken. I'm just Ken. Yep. And KW and Gigi began spending more and more time together and eventually began a relationship that was more than just a friendship. So, according to KW's account, in January of 87, Gigi entered the room of a woman who had Alzheimer's and smothered her with a washcloth as CW acted as her lookout. So, washcloth is relatively small, kept it over her mouth and nose, pressured. You see what I'm putting down. So, the victim was too incapacitated to fight back and thus became the pair's first victim. The woman's death appeared to be natural, so an autopsy was not performed by her family. Nope. Because of how old she was with her Alzheimer's. So people who get late diagnosed Alzheimer's, they get dry patches around their mouth because they sit with their mouth open for long periods of time. My dad does it sometimes too when he sundowns. He'll just
But they also get dehydrated, especially at the end.
Super dehydrated. Yeah. So my dad forgets to drink waters for hours at a time. Hold on. So the marks were written off as like nothing was wrong, that it was caused by the patient not drinking or eating.
Wow.
I know. Wow is the correct word. By the way, we're reading Emily's comments from her messenger. So, CW claimed Gigi murdered the first patient to relieve her sexual tension.
I'm pretty sure there's other ways of doing that without that.
Right. Her family was... So Emily typed her family must have been pissed when they found out. Her family was pissed. We're going to get to the family accounts at the end. CW and Gigi felt that the secretive murder would prevent the other partner from leaving, thus cementing their traumatic bond to one another. I know. Over the next few months, Gigi murdered 4 more Alpine Manor patients, according to CW's account. Right. Okay. Many of the victims' ages ranged from 65 to 97. 90% of them were incapacitated and suffered from Alzheimer's.
Because they were easy targets.
They were very easy targets. CW testified that the couple turned the selection of victims into a game.
Of course.
Wait, 97? Wouldn't that be kind of like a mercy kill?
Kind of, but not really on how they did it. Instead of them issuing like morphine or some sort of other drug to kind of ease them into sleep, when you suffocate somebody, it's
very rough.
All of the victims were suffocation. Every single one of them. Yeah, every single one. Yeah, I know. It's like a god damn it. So they turned CW and Gigi turned the victims into a game, spelling out their initials to murder.
The fuck?
So they picked victims based off of the name murder. But when that became difficult, they began counting each murder as a day, as in the phrase, I will love you for forever and a day. Right.
So much.
So much. There's so much you want to say, right?
Yes. I can't even put it all together.
By the way, my finger is so swollen I can't even get my ring on. It's been sitting like this for a good portion of the morning, but we're just going to keep it off. So CW eventually told Hubby Wubby, KW, about the killings, perhaps because she was afraid of what Gigi would do to her children that she was in charge of.
Wait, hold on.
She's typing. Not her actual children, mind you, but the children she was in charge of, because she got fired from the nursing home and moved to pediatrics.
You've got to be fucking kidding me.
I know. She said, you motherfucker, and is throwing hands right now. Reason being she moved to pediatrics is because Kids are too young. Correct. However, Gigi had taken on a new boo who worked in pediatrics. I know. They're still alive. Hold on. So if you want to write them a letter of hate, you can. I would not suggest it, but kids are off limits. I agree.
100% agreed.
We're going to throw hands. So Gigi then moved to Texas with the woman that she was dating and began to work in a hospital taking care of infants. So went from peds to Nick and Pick. On October 7th of 1988, KW, the hubby wubby, entered the Walker Police Department, we're still in Michigan, to report that CW, the nurse's aide, had come home and told him she had been involved in a series of homicides with one of her coworkers. So at this point, he doesn't even know that she's taken on a lover. So the husband had no idea at this point that she was sleeping. I know. Ding, 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 ding.
Talk about a bombshell. Like,
seriously, when you said dynamite,
I'm also killing people.
Right. Surprise! Not only am I a lesbian, I murder people. Doing the horizontal tango with a friend, yes. I mean, yeah. So KW immediately informed the police, which caused them to start poking around in Gigi and CW's life. Ooh, spooky. Following up with KW's words, detectives spoke to the nursing home who reported, and I quote, "Nothing suspicious occurred at the home. CW was an excellent employee." End quote. I know, the sheer caucasity of the fact. Yeah, she just said, "I'm fucking sorry." Yes, correct. Detectives then approached CW and asked her to come down to the police department for an interview, to which she agreed. Not reluctantly or anything. She went, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll go to the police department." Once at the station, they confronted her with her ex-hubby's statements. And while she initially said it was a joke, she later claimed that her coworker and lover, Gigi, had suffocated multiple patients at the nursing home.
So hold on. Let me get this straight. She admitted to it?
She admitted to it, yeah.
What the fuck?
But she said she never killed anybody, which is incorrect. She killed one person herself, just one. The detectives, a month earlier, she had told them that her and Gigi had broken up and Gigi moved to Tyler, Texas, with her new girlfriend, Heather Barriger. Of course, it's somebody named Heather.
I'm never going to be able to look at that town the same because I go there for the Texas Renaissance Festival.
Which is going on right now, by the way.
The Renaissance, not the Texas Renaissance Festival. Not the one in Tyler.
No, not the one in Tyler. There's one here.
Yeah.
It's going on right now. So they went to Texas and got her, and they charged Gigi with 6 counts of murder. Remember I told you there were 5 to 6 bodies?
God bless Texas.
Oh, you got it there. They anointed CW the prosecution's star witness. Predictably, CW managed to put the bulk of the blame on her twisted ex-lover. Of course. Detectives from the WPD questioned CW in a series of interviews. She discreetly leaked out her version of the homicides to the press.
Of course.
Portraying her previous boothing as the mastermind and hands-on killer. I know. Do you know who had it first? People magazine. Yeah, I found that out. This was an interesting article to read. I read like 7 different, this is based from 7 different articles, but this led to the exhumation of 2 of the nursing home victims that had not been cremated. Remind you, like, when it comes to nursing homes, as all 3 of us either are in healthcare or know somebody who works in healthcare. When a patient is that age, if they pass away, 9 times out of 10, they're either cremated or some sort of like their body gets donated, something like that, right? Most of the victims, except for 3, there were 3 victims that were buried, 2 they exhumed. One of them religious, they couldn't exhume them. But the rest of them were cremated. So they couldn't test the bodies.
Interesting.
Interesting is correct. When the examination failed to reveal physical evidence of homicide, not entirely unusual with smothering, the county medical examiner nevertheless ruled the deaths as homicide, basing it on the interviews CW had given to the police. Warrants were issued for the arrest of both women.
Oh no.
It's still not working. It's fine. On December 4th and 5th, because they were arrested one day after the other, 1988, CW and CW, or Gigi and CW, were arrested and charged with 2 murders. CW was apprehended in Walker, up in Michigan, and Gigi was in Tyler, Texas. Gigi went to trial in 1988, and CW told the court of her role as a lookout when Gigi suffocated the helpless women. They were all women, no men. They were noted during the trial, because I had to go through a couple of the trial notes.
I wonder why. I'm just wondering. Why?
No, I know. We're going to get to the theories in a second because I'm almost done. So it was discussed in the trial notes, which I didn't put into my real notes, which I'm reading from. I remember this from the trial notes because I was like, that's sick. And I was...
Hold on, I just pulled it up on my phone.
You have it on your phone?
Yeah, just give me a second so I can look it up. What?
Yeah.
The...
Yeah.
Fuck?
Yeah. What'd you order? Is that Waffle House? I can't read it, babe. It just looks gray.
No, it's not Waffle House. It's better. It's Starbucks.
The mermaid coffee.
Oh, okay. What was I even saying? I gotta go back to my notes now. Oh, so when they were murdering the women after they had passed away, there's no monitors on these people because it's end of life care. It's a hospice care. It's a nursing home. They don't have monitors hooked up to these people. They climbed into bed with the victims and proceeded to have relations.
What's with all of these, like...
Murderers having sex with the bodies? Well, next to the bodies. And with the bodies, sometimes.
I was gonna say,
The look of horror on your face, Emily.
bed with their victims.
You know? We're gonna get to that in a second. Gigi was convicted on all accounts. Sexually deprived people. Actually, they had a lot of sex. Compared... Anytime they killed, they had vigorous amounts of sex for days, from what the notes said in the transcripts. Gigi was easily convicted on all counts and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. CW, on the other hand, only got 20 to 40 years. She gets out in 2036. Yeah, you is correct. So, That's all the hard and fast facts. I want to get to the psychology of it.
Oh, good.
Emily just went, yes.
Also, I misspoke. Texas Renaissance Festival is in Todd Mission, not Tyler. My bad.
Yeah. There's one in my town, but
I'm just like, it starts with a T, and I'm coming off of a 12-hour shift. I'm tired, guys.
you're tired. You're allowed to be tired. Okay, so the brain stuff. So as far as why Kathy CW acted the way that she did, a lot of the psychologists that reacted in the articles that I read and the 2 psychologists that were brought in for the actual trial itself were pretty much stating that CW required somebody who kind of not like held her hand but told her what to do, pretty much like a dom. Not really, but you know what I mean. Somebody that was depraving.
She needed a leader so she could be a follower.
Pretty much, yeah. Her husband was very much like lead with the hand, not with the foot. And Gwendolyn or Gigi was very much lead with the foot, not with the hand, like get the fuck out of my way kind of thing.
Yeah.
As far as Gigi goes, there was some serious mommy issues that were discussed in the court records. There wasn't a lot of history that I could find when researching.
Of course, there was always some kind of parental issue.
Hey, Macarena.
Oh, welcome back.
The fact that I know every word in that and it's Portuguese is kind of funny.
I mean, it was such a catchy song. Like, everybody knew the words to it. They might not have known the meaning behind it, but they knew the words.
They did. So now I'm going to send it to the group. Where is it? So the victims of Kathy and Gwen. This is one of the
Not like anybody could see me dancing or hear me singing.
No, but we definitely could read your lips. So the names of the victims were Mae Mason, 79, Edith Cook, 98, Marguerite Chambers, 60, Myrtle Luce, 95, and Belle Burkhard, 74. So if they wouldn't have, from what this article says, South Carolina Parole Board said Woods Parole will keep her from caring for the elderly, for children, and vulnerable adults. And her parole ends June 2021.
So wait, does that mean she's out of jail?
So I think she got early release then.
What the fuck?
Yeah, because they denied her original release in 18 and 19. The original article that I read was that her release for original parole was 2036, and it looks like she got an early parole hearing in 2018 and 2019.
I feel like she should have had to stay there until the end.
I agree.
Emily wants to know if she's off parole now.
She is. So she was released conditionally from prison on parole. I actually pulled up the original article. Hold on. Oh no, don't exit out. Okay. Okay, this one, that was 2020. She needs the...
I swear to God, if anyone went after my grandma, it's on.
You know, I would have to agree, because if anybody were to come after my abuela, even though she died at home, which is what she wanted, if anybody were to come after my abuela, it'd be hands-on, man.
Mm-hmm. Same.
There was a book written about them called Forever in 5 Days. and another book called Serial Killers and How They Kill.
Everyone listening to the podcast right now must be so confused.
Why are they confused? She's typing. Well, because I'm looking. I can't remember the rest of my sentence, to be honest.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. So they said a total of 40 people died during their reign. Only 8 seem suspicious enough for further investigation. Kathy Wood was turned state evidence against Gwendolyn Graham. She was only given 20 to 40 years due to her agreeing to a plea deal, which she pled guilty to one of the murders, which was the one she climbed into bed with her on. Excuse me. Graham is being held in a Tallahassee, Florida prison. Wood was denied for parole a total of 7 times before she was eventually released. They have not been able to find where she is currently, but suspect that she is living her life correctly.
I mean, we can only hope.
Oh, here we go. I had to wait for my phone to update. Kathy Wood is officially dead.
Good.
She has died in her Washington home. Hold on. Emily wanted some fanfare for that. I agree. She apparently died in her Washington home. She said she was wrongfully imprisoned.
I call bullshit. Emily says incorrect.
Right. So, and that's the story of Gwendolyn Graham and Kathy Wood. You weren't there long enough. You back with Stacey. I don't think she should have gotten out. I don't think she should have ever been removed from the prison system. Just her revoking her.
Sounds like she needed a case of the Epstein treatment.
I mean, I think everybody gets their just desserts in jail. Let us talk about my ex-boyfriend, which I find kind of funny, you know? Like, he got everything that he did back to me in jail. Good. She's typing. Or she's looking for a gift. In the words of the ex-wife's brother, she's an I cannot say that on this podcast. Emily, that is terrible.
What? What did I say?
It's like Sheldon's couch cushion. You got to turn it over. I cannot read that on this podcast.
No, definitely not.
For all you listening, there are certain words you can't say. It'll just get flagged for NC-17. I do not want to get flagged. It's already rated R, PG-13R, because it's, we use explicit content, It's not like the Miss Maisie podcast, where they're constantly talking about, stuff in the bedroom, and sometimes stuff outside the bedroom.
All depends on the topic.
Correct. But if this were Mimi,
let's just say that I know some places that I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying that I know
they exist.
Well, let's just say that I know my way around tools and things for landscaping. Let's just put. I
I
know
mean-
landscaping equipment.
I mean, it's same, but in the separate specter, I can hello again. I can dismantle a chicken very efficiently,
I mean,
and a pig too, but that's besides the point.
we did just fill in 2 pools, so I mean, just saying.
I mean, but okay, so one of my best friends back in Virginia, present company excluded, she has informed me that you're still one of my best friends, Emily. Stop it. So she has informed me that one of her friends owns a pig farm.
Yep.
And she told Joshua, I found this out later, the day of our wedding, she got very close to him and went, I have a friend who owns a pig farm. That's all you need to understand. And he went, understood. Tyr, what are you? Leave her alone. Oh, sit on Chris. Sit on Chris. He's not going to eat your coffee. But yeah, no, I found out about that later. She goes, did he ever tell you about what happened at the wedding? And I was like, no, but I know about the conversation he had with Dad and Hans. To which Hans and my dad had pulled him aside and they were talking about carpentry stuff and, a bunch of other things. And Dad said, I just want you to realize, I know who I am today. And he goes, that's great. And he goes, I hope you understand that.
I'm saying this for reasons.
Yeah. And Hans goes, you're a good man, Jack. And he goes, thanks. Hans, right? He goes, yeah. We're both her dads. Yeah. And I walked up at the tail end of this conversation, at which point Hans goes, I have a large collection of guns. And my dad said, that's nice. I'm great with a knife. I don't think Josh was understanding the conversation. I think he was just having a happy time. I think he disassociated because he told me that this conversation didn't happen. I know what I heard. I know what I heard. Okay? And Hans can deny it all he wants. But I know what I heard.
Very nice.
What did Frank do? It says, damn it,
I don't
Frank.
know. But she threw her straw wrapper and it went perfectly into the trash can.
Perfect.
Oh, she blew it into the trash can.
Oh, blew it into the trash can. Missed the dog, though. Oh. So, I mean, I know I've done end-of-life care for quite a few people. We're cutting a giant chunk of a bunch of stuff out because there's dead air. But I've done end-of-life care for a couple of my friends' parents and grandparents. I've done end-of-life care for my grandparents. I've cared for my father when he had broken both of his legs.
Yeah.
In this situation, when it comes to like nursing homes and end of life care and people who just who don't know the signs of elder abuse, that kind of shit pisses me off.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, why weren't you paying attention to your parents? Why weren't you paying attention to your grandparents?
Where were you when they were having to go through these things?
Right. Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter how you color it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's finally like they're being more prudent about end of life care now is good.
Yes. I wish it wasn't so damn expensive, but...
Right.
For real. Like, seriously. I was my dad's end-of-life care.
So, I mean, you understand. Like, you have to kind of separate. I had to explain to one of my other friends that there's kind of a separation when you start taking care of somebody that you love. Yeah, it's hard. Especially at the end of the day when you can walk away. Sometimes you can't even walk away from the situation, but sometimes you just take 5 minutes in a laundry room and you cry yourself to pieces.
You also kind of have to put this wall around you to not get into your emotions because you have to take care of them.
So Emily said, I still haven't processed it, to be honest. It helped when you helped me talk to him, though. It's one of those things that took me a long time to process, because so when my grandfather died, he died in the hospital. It was still end-of-life care. He had stage 4 cancer. He had cancer in a bunch of places, mainly skin cancer, lung cancer, a couple of other cancers. But those were the two that were prominent, because I remember him being able to take off his nose and scare the fucking neighbors. But
that is terrifying.
I remember that as a core memory, because
was it like a prosthetic?
It was a prosthetic. Like, before they could do a skin graft right here, he had a prosthetic end part of his nose, and you couldn't tell because they were really good. But the next door neighbor was making jokes about me being fat, and he goes, we play a game. And he goes, fine, whatever, I'll play a game. And he goes, got your nose. And he takes the end of his nose and he goes, booga, booga, booga. But it was a fun thing for me, because my grandfather was a very serious man. So the fact that he kind of loosened up for a second, I just looked at him mortified. But then after he left, Emily's like, that's terrifying. It was. But core horror memory. Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, when Grandpa died in the hospital versus my grandmother dying at home, completely different traumatic experiences. For the hospital, it was more along the lines of, I was the only one in the room. I was the only one there. When my grandma died, she didn't die until I stayed with her for 3.5 months. Simba. Out of context, Sam finally looking at the messages, just says the librarian, out of context, these texts are wild. So, when Grandma was at home doing hospice care with us, we had a nurse come 3 times a week to check her vitals, make sure her meds were given at the right times, because I would write in a little diary with my mom, because I would work the day shift. My mom would come after work and be there all night with her. And it was the hardest 3 months ever, because I essentially quit my job. My boss, quote unquote, fired me so I can get unemployment, which was amazing for him. He was an amazing boss. He knew my grandmother. He was like, we love Rosa. Go ahead, take the time off, take 3 months. Here's 3 months of unemployment. When you're done with the 3 months, you come back. So I took 3 months and then an additional month off, and then I came back to work. And then it was one of those things where I did not leave her side until the end of the 2 months. I think it was month 2. I was moving out of my apartment into a house with my ex-boyfriend. And she was already starting to decline. It had gotten to the point where she wouldn't even eat ice chips. She wouldn't have smoothies or anything. And I left. I was gone 3 hours, tops. I was never gone more than an hour and a half. So I was gone 3 hours. I was gone a pretty long time. But we had 20 people move everything out of my apartment into 6 cars, move everything into the new house, unpack all of the cars. I sat down to have a piece of pizza, and he bought me a giant sushi tray from this restaurant down the street that I love their sushi. He bought a family-sized, like, this thing was bigger than a basketball hoop kind of thing. It was huge. I finally sat down to eat, and I got the text message from my aunt that she had taken her last breath. And I was like, you're kidding me. The first time I sit down all day. And I just sobbed on the floor. And I went to the house. And it was one of those things where nobody else knew where her stuff was but me and Mom. So we cleaned her up. I brushed her hair. My cousin had just finished painting her nails. And my ex-boyfriend was like, this isn't your fault. And I said, I left. If I wouldn't have left, I was very hard on myself. And I said, if I wouldn't have left, she wouldn't have died. That was because that's what I was told. She needed to go. And because I left, she was free to leave. My best friend, Devin, told me that. She said, your grandma was so stubborn, but she loved you more than anything on the planet because you were her first granddaughter. She didn't want you to see that. said, yeah, I understand that. And she goes, I don't think you do. You watched your grandfather die. You watched your best friend die. You watched your other best friend die. You took care of your best friend's mother and she passed away. And now you have to watch her. She's like, absolutely not. She's a lady. She wouldn't make you do that. And I was like, my grandmother was anything but a lady. She was fierce. She had a very poised reputation, but behind closed doors, she was the dirtiest woman on the planet. She belched, she farts. She was just like out there, you know? My mom.
To uphold.
She did have an image to uphold. My mom was very, very upset. She was just like, I can't believe you're, telling these stories about your grandmother. It's not true. And I was like, they are true. Devin can vouch for it. She gassed us out in a car on the way to Lathrop, which is an 1.5-hour drive. And we couldn't say shit until we got there. And she looked at us, smiled, and then tooted again. But my trauma, I did not correctly deal with it until about maybe a year later. You know? Delicious. Not nutritious.
I would hope not.
No, God. But it took me some time because after the funeral was Did I ever tell I know I told Emily about the funeral. Did I ever tell you what happened at my grandmother's funeral?
I believe so.
Emily, do you remember what happened at grandma's funeral?
No, was there a fight?
Oh, would you like me to regale you again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
So, my grandmother's funeral was on my birthday.
Of course.
She died a week and a day before my birthday, which I find kind of funny. So we have the funeral on my birthday. My mom says, I hope you don't mind. We're, I'm a medium, so of course we're at the funeral. Standing room only. My grandparents were the Don and the Countess of Campbell. Everybody knew them. They would sit on their front porch and they would say hello to everybody. Everybody knew them. So my grandfather died, standing room only. My grandmother, same thing. About a week before she died, there was this girl that used to live next door. She showed up and she had this big brown paper bag of groceries. She had wine, she had bread, she had prosciutto, and I was like, that's too much. Grandma can't have that. Her body can't process it. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, Mom, we can barely give her smoothies. She can't eat bread with prosciutto. And she goes, just let her go. She just let that girl do whatever she wants to do. Grandma wants to have the prosciutto, let her have the prosciutto. And she comes in there, she goes, she's like my grandmother. And I went, she is my grandmother. And my mom went, calm down. And Marissa goes, no, she's right. She's not family. And we both just gave her this side eye. I'll read your comment in just a second. So that is a long, let me finish this and then I will read that. Is that okay? Okay. So we gave her the side eye, right? She comes back a couple of more times. Mind you, my grandmother's been sick for months. She has not come for months. So if she's your supposed grandmother, where the hell have you been? Like with Sydney's grandmother, I was always there. I was always there. Whenever Norma needed me, right there. Norma, what you need? What you want? Sydney needs to go out for the night? Not a problem. I'll be right here. And I would sit there and I would knit or I would color or I would do whatever I cleaned that fridge so many times, let me tell you. But the day of the funeral, this woman shows up, no joke, in a skin tight, bright magenta, sequined dress. I don't know if you've seen photos of my grandmother, but she's very simple. She's very classic. Think Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Very classic. My grandmother was a classic woman. She would have made her take off this dress, change into sweats and a t-shirt, and let my grandfather use that dress to grease his truck. You were not allowed to wear anything skin tight. If you wore anything skin tight on the top, it had to have a cardigan over top of that or a sweater. You had to wear stockings. If you didn't wear stockings, you had to have your skirt long enough where it hit your knees. If it didn't hit your knees, that was coming off and he was going to grease his truck.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at her as I'm having my hand on the casket saying my final goodbyes like we do in traditional burials for Latin families. She removed my hand from the coffin and I about decked her. If my ex wouldn't have put his hand across my collarbone and went down, at the time that he did. I'm forever grateful for him handling me in that situation and for being a good boyfriend, except for the whole cheating thing. I'm forever grateful for him for that. My uncle walked over to her and he goes, remove your hand, put down the flower, walk out. She was, you are not blood. You are not family. Hand, flower, out. And she went, hand, flower, out. And she walked out. I never spoke to her again. She tried to add me on Facebook, I'm going to say a month later. And I said, how dare you contact me? You tarnished the memory of my grandmother. She hated your dress and she would have thought you were a whore. Never contact me again. And I blocked her. Okay. So Emily, before my dad passed, he would fight with my mom that she wouldn't be in the room when he passed. And she said, well, what are you going to do about it? You'll be dead. Half joking. That sounds like the two of them, to be honest. Your dad was very formidable. He still is. Well, fast forward to the day that he passed, my mom had left his side for the first time in 2 weeks to go home and shower. She grabbed me and Bugs, and we were heading back to the center he was at. My aunt called and said, today's the day, so just take your time. So we decided to go to Starbucks up the way. Once we hit the light, my aunt called, and Lou, get here now, and hung up. My mom, with me and Bugs in the car, managed to whip the Jeep in a 90-degree... I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but just seeing your mom... Just whip this Jeep in a 90-degree angle in the middle of the light and gunned it to where we were. My dad passed at 1:01 p.m. My mom got into the room at 1:02. He did get his wish. He very much did. Your phone is on 5%. Plug your phone in. Is it plugged in? Okay, cool. Seriously, you're well to live. Yeah, both of them had to remove their headphones. So at this point, it's just reading messages. But I mean, like, end of life care. It's one of those things where they will always get their wish. They will always get what they want in the end, because no matter how hard, my grandmother promised me that she would never... Sorry. Oh, man. I love you, Emily. It says, that's all, folks. So, I mean, today was a complicated story. I mean, for me emotionally. Was it complicated for you too? Okay. Yeah. Same for Emily.
I don't know how bad the audio is going to be. So.
No, you're fine. You're good.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Especially this bit at the very end, discussing, end of life care. Especially because I'm only a year and a couple of months
post
out of doing end of life care for my grandmother with dementia.
Right.
And so it's I'm still processing all of that, and just
it's a lot.
It is. And therapy is for everyone. I'm just gonna say that.
Therapy is definitely for everyone.
I am working on finding a therapist. So that will help a lot.
That's good. It takes a while to find a good one. I mean, I'm on the hunt for a new one.
Okay. I think I'm going to call it a day and go to bed, because that 12-hour shift is very quickly catching up with me.
Right. I mean, I think this was a good episode. Stay tuned for next month. We're going to discuss a lot of gay panic. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay spooky. Don't kill people. Emily said the same thing. Don't kill people. That's funny.
They frown upon that.
They do. And just to remember, I am not reading that out loud. No. And I'm not saying it either. Goodbye!
Bye-bye.
This whole episode, we couldn't hear you at all. And now...
I fixed it.
How the fuck?
Hold on. How about now?
Yeah.
You can still hear me?
Yeah. Say something. Nope.
Are you, oh my fucking God.
I can hear you, but I just think it's funny. The entire hour and 20 minutes, we played the worst game of charades I have ever played in my entire game life.
Hold on, because I'm
recording this bit because this is funny as hell.
I'm gonna show you. So, you're right here, okay, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, so I'm in the sound system. Where's my, okay. This, right here, this. As soon as I unclick it, now you can hear me. I swear to God.
What did you unclick?
I'm sending you a video.
On Snapchat?
Hope. I looked directly at it too. I was like, that looks right. Mm-hmm.
Where'd you send it? Oh, here we go. All right, so I'm in the sound system. It was in the settings where I told you to go, and it was where it said input.
Yes.
And the mic was clicked off.
But I had clicked the mic.
Are you fucking kidding me? Well, on that note, next time on the Pandemonium Witches, we are discussing murder, but it is a very sad case. It involves children. This story contains what he was guilty of, which is rape, child abuse, murder, bigamy, assault, and insurance fraud. But we've already discussed cannibals on the show. It's a thing. Because during their search for Kim, police discovered 8 bodies.
Of course they did.